Hello everybody! Now occasionally I make videos that are a little bit geeky, a little bit niche, and that is what I pride myself on with this channel, is that I make videos purely knowing that probably about 50 to 100 people will watch such a video, but still it's something that I would like to make, and I make the videos that I'd like to make. And this time it is Ford Focus again, and we have something that is quite a rare addition if you're into Ford Focus Mark 1 merchandise, particularly brochures. I know there's many of you that collect Mark 1 brochures. If any of you have got brochures that you are willing to actually send me and sell, whatever, I'll put some money your way for the postage and whatever you need. I would like to try and get my hands on a few more brochures, because I only have a couple of brochures. One that is actually specific to my car, well, one that I thought was specific. It turns out it was actually not the correct brochure. My Ford Focus is a July registration or a June make, sorry, a May build, sorry. So the brochure that I bought was actually a bit too late in the year, so I've now bought the correct one. But what I also saw at the same time as getting the correct brochure and the price list, you buy the brochure and the price list. If you're going to take your Mark 1 to a show, I think it's a really nice thing just to slap on the parcel shelf or the front seats, the brochure, the correct brochure of the time, and the price list. Because I tell you what, the price list shows a lot of interesting things. But today we are focusing on a brochure that I have actually bought, which is very rare, and you probably may not have seen one. They were only, I believe, stored or viewed in the dealership, probably at the front reception desk. It was not something that people would have necessarily been given, but I do think that it's something that if people haven't got a clue about Ford Focuses and what the car and the brand is about, then this is an interesting addition. And it is a Ford Focus in view. Now, can you see that? Okay. Ford Focus in view. All right. Now, this is much bigger than the standard brochure. It's much more squarer. If I show you a correct... I've got the right folder. I have indeed. So, this is the correct brochure for my car. Okay. If you compare this, I know it's two different ages, but can you kind of see there? So it's a little bit bigger than the standard brochure. And I believe that this was not a brochure that you could just, these brochures were you could take one away, gone is the day where you could order these brochures, and plenty of people have got all these lovely brochures. And I believe that brochures are an amazing thing, because if you're trying to restore a car, particularly to original sort of condition, it really is a guide of what the car should have been from the factory. And if you're not sure about what specs your car would have had, it gives you every bit of detail whatsoever. So I think it's a really good addition to actually restoring a car, rebuilding a car. But this is something of an undiscovered item. It wasn't up for much on eBay, but I saw it and I thought, this is really weird. It's like an oversized brochure. But as far as I'm aware, that this would be on view in a dealership. But I don't think anybody would have physically taken these home. I think it was only dealer staff that had access to them. Maybe it was just something they threw in front of customers. I'm not so sure, but let's have a look at it. Right, let's go in. Ooh, nice picture. And this is the standard picture on, I think, the March-April 2002 brochure. So you've got these lovely gear alloys, which I actually prefer them to what would become the LX alloys. Believe you me, I think these look a lot more nicer. And I certainly think the touches here are quite nice. I mean, I love the colour coordinated surround on the grille. Just nice little touches, and obviously the colour coordinated side strips. It really does denote a little bit more of a luxurious car. So it says here, welcome to the Focus in View. Thank you for choosing Ford Focus. We hope you will be happy with this exciting new model as we are. Since its launch, Ford Focus has won wide acclaim from professional motor critics and ordinary drivers alike. We are very proud that this design and engineering has led to such round success. This brochure will help you get the most out of owning your Ford Focus. You will find it contains much interesting background information as many pointers to enable you to get the maximum enjoyment from your new car. So this suggests that this was given to the public. So it's an addition to the brochure. This is quite interesting. I say, does anybody else have one of these? Because presumably it may not have been. This is around this time of March, April 2002, because it's got the same cover of that particular period brochure. So we've got quite a few sections in here. So say this is 2002. I mean, this is a quote from Autocar. The Focus once again comes through as a clear winner, nearly 4 years old, and it is easy, the most class leader, a brilliant balance of dynamics and practical. Honestly, that's practicality. That is absolutely, it's not astonishing to me and you because we know how great this car is, but a car that is coming up to 4 years old and still on the top of the game, that's hard to achieve these days. Usually cars that are about over a year old are knocked off the charts these days. Maybe the competition wasn't as high back then, but I doubt it. I mean, you look at the cars that are around back then. There was plenty of competition, but it was just such a good car. Fuel injection. The marketing of Focus. Now, this is interesting. So, when the Focus arrived in the showroom, its launch was advertised boldly, proclaiming expect more. Expect more was definitely the slogan they used. And more is exactly what the Focus customers were given. Ford Focus was made to redefine customer expectations of cars in its class. In just over 2 years, it became the world's best-selling car. This is quite interesting. So it's like a storybook in senses. Acclaimed by the motoring press and awarded European Car of the Year soon after its launch. The Focus set new standards of class excellence and continues to do so. Read on to discover how we made your Focus and why you made it a great decision to buy it. So in this section, we've got the design brief, tried and tested, sure-footed, design safety and responsibility and recognition. This is fascinating. Oh my goodness me. I've just zoomed in on the design brief. So in the words of Michael Salansky, the Ford Focus package manager, our design brief included finding greater interior space, ensuring space was used to maximum effect and provide a comfortable, safe driving position for the greatest range of shapes and sizes. There is no typical buyer nor typical human frame. To this end, the Focus designed around you, the customer, using detailed ergonomic studies and customer feedback. Put it mildly, we're aiming for the maximum amount of space and comfort for 5 adults. And it does that. The legroom is superb on this sort of size of car. I mean, look at some of the early designs there. That is just... You could see the concepts and how close they became to the actual related car. The top one, especially with the 3-door. They were certainly aiming for a lot. And they certainly achieved that. And then down here, obviously, we've got one in production. Turning dream into reality. God, I love these. I love this. See, you can see all the swage lines that go around the car. If you look at your Focus Mark 1, you've got these lines that continuously flow around the car. It's just so joined up. This is an all-new platform designed with multifunctional optimization software and laser welding techniques. This makes for an extremely stiffened lightweight chassis, improves crashworthiness, minimizes noise, vibration and harshness, and provides a rigid platform around which the suspension and steering systems are calibrated. A long wheelbase is fundamental to the Focus design. The wheels have been pushed to the corners. Sounds like a famous car from the late 1950s, giving this vehicle one of the longest wheelbases in its class. This maximizes interior space, allowing the full expression of the Ford interior design aims. Every design detail has been carefully considered, highly precise vehicle assembly methods in which micrometer precision in door and window fit together with special seals to isolate the cabin from the wind noise. I have to say, bad badly fitting panels and shut lines is not something that I have ever associated with a Mark 1 Focus, and that really brings it a pole away from the Escort of before. And I'm pretty sure there are many stories of people having to adjust the doors to get the lines to actually well, basically to improve the shut lines everywhere on the car, and the Focus Mark 1 does not have that issue. Designed from inside out, the Focus is designed around the needs of 5 adults. To do this, the design team made extensive use of state-of-the-art Ramsey's 3D computer modeling techniques. Using powerful computers, they were able to craft the passenger compartment so the drivers and passengers of varying shapes and sizes can find a comfortable seating position and reach the controls with ease. Absolutely, I can relate to that. There is room in the rear for 3 adults to sit comfortably. I argue the middle passenger might be a bit uncomfortable, along with the space of 4 large suitcases to lie flat in the luggage compartment. Raised seats, widely spaced front seat runners, and a higher hip pivot point boosts the rear leg room in turn. The elevated seating position gives passengers a high viewpoint, while the driver has a commanding view of the road ahead. I have to say that the rear passengers do sit higher up than a lot of other cars, where you kind of sit low and you feel as if you're sunk into the back of the car. Rear passengers don't like to feel that. I mean, it's very unpopular to sit at the back seat anyway, but you would want to be slightly higher up. And because obviously they wanted to create a good amount of foot room for the rear passengers underneath the actual front seats, they had to raise the front seats up a little bit more, which is kind of a complaint I have about Mark 1s. I think the front seats are a little bit too high, but still, ideally it was a bit of a compromise, but it did work out well. Tried and tested. Our aim is to give you cars that are exceptional value. The Ford Focus is no exception. Did you know that many of the safety, technology and comfort features are standard, not optional? And there are even more reasons why your Ford Focus is a good buy. You'll soon discover that its excellent fuel economy, minimal running, repair and insurance costs give it a relatively low cost of ownership. Absolutely. So we talk about the aerodynamics here. So the aerodynamics, the exterior shape, is based on a result of extensive development in Ford's special wind tunnel. You can just tell with the way the body flows. The picture below shows a Ford Focus in development. Design details like the low bonnet line combine excellent aerodynamics with crash protection. A rear aero shield ahead of the rear suspension minimizes underbody turbulence and helps reduce drag. Absolutely. I mean, basically you've got this, and that is your aero shield, I suspect. So that's quite interesting. Keep running costs low. It uses advanced components for durability and low maintenance. Spark plugs with a life expectancy of 40,000 miles. Probably less than that, but ideally, yeah. Valves that need inspection only after 100,000 miles, because we're talking about shim, solid tappets, shims, horrible blasted things. But really, you wouldn't know the difference, and doing it's an absolute faff. To be honest with you, unless your car runs really poorly, that is not necessary. Plenty of people have done way more miles than that until the valves are kind of out of truth. The truth is, Ford did give a lot of big clearances on the actual valves themselves. So really, honestly, there's a lot of play in those valves. So you will need to shim them unless you've done ridiculously high miles. Petrol filters designed to last the lifetime of the engine. That's wrong, that is. You need to change your fuel filters a bit more regularly than that. I'm not quite sure why that was a claim. Oh God, this is a lot of writing, but basically the car was tested in and around the globe, mostly in Belgium. Prototypes like the ones pictured down here were driven for a punishing 2 million miles in all road and weather conditions. They were driven over football-sized cobblestones up and down gradients of 35 degrees, soaked in salt baths to test the corrosion resistance. Really, that's laughable, that is. Testing was also... So they obviously got that wrong as well. Testing was also carried out replicas of real roads, which simulated, for example, a stretch of Paris and a Californian freeway. That's interesting. And 2,500 potential customers also drove the pre-launch Focus secretly on a variety of public roads. We asked the drivers to be critical, Feedback was as wide as from as wide as a range of ages, nationalities, social classes, family groups. We then rectified some minor flaws in the Focus before the full production. What were the flaws? I would love to know what flaws were found in these 2,500 customer pre-launch cars that they corrected. That'll be an interesting little video. The Focus passes 100 real world crash test. Interesting. I mean, the Focus Mark 1s are pretty good for crash testing. But overall, they were subject to a lot of endurance stuff. 100,000 miles under extreme conditions. As well as passing Ford's own test, Ford Focus planned more than 100 real-world different crash tests. It was awarded 4 stars Euro NCAP for front and side impact. For a car this age, that's pretty good. Hot, but not bothered. Did you know? An ingenious cooling system in the standard form on the Ford Focus, allowing the vehicle to be driven for short distance, even when hot, without damage. So if the engine temperature rises to a dangerous level, the fail-safe system will alternate fuel into the engine cylinders, causing disabled cylinders to act as air pumps to cool the engine. The car can still be driven, but without limited power and no air conditioning. I was going to say, deactivation of cylinders. If you've got to that stage, you really are going to cause problems. I know it says it here, but honestly, really? Do you really want to be doing that? To avoid engine damage, the cooling system warning light will flash for 30 seconds before shutting the engine down completely, giving you plenty of time to reach safety. Numerous features ensure the vehicle starts first time. A battery saver protects against flat batteries. That is a relay in the GM module, by the way. There is a battery saver relay, which is a yellow one, the yellow relay. By cancelling unnecessary lights left on mistake after 20 minutes, a smart alternator automatically provides the optimum charge rate according to the electrical load to dramatically increase battery life and system performance. I'm not sure how smart alternators really technically work, but they are quite clever, and every other car's got them now. Back in the day, it wasn't load variant. They just produced the same kind of load, no matter if the car is undercharged or over, fully charged. They're not very efficient. Whereas these will lessen the demand if the battery is quite well charged. And there's not much demand. The alternator will lower its demand and better fuel economy. These are pictures I like to see. Now I'm just going to back you away a little bit. This is a nice sure-footed stability. Our cars have got on most cars a cross beam twist. A twist beam connects the 2 rear wheels, like on a Fiesta, for instance. More sophisticated cars like the Focus offer a multi-link rear suspension, the control blade rear suspension. This lightweight multi-link design distributes the loads more widely and effectively, decouples the suspension loads from cornering forces and braking forces, and 5 load paths compared to 2 in common with twist beam systems, providing more enhanced ride quality and smoothness. Nobody is going to argue about that. Absolutely not. There was a bit about the Ford developing the control blade rear suspension, enable each wheel to react to road irregularities independently, which is really important. Absolutely. The sophisticated geometry of the multi-link suspension enhances wheel control and intrinsic stability by boosting passive rear wheel steer. This especially is noticeable during high-speed lane change maneuvering. So basically, the camber, I think technically the camber will keep the wheels in contact with the road. Passive rear wheel steering, there's a lot of technicalities to that I don't quite understand myself. So I will not comment on that, but I can imagine that doing so. It keeps the wheels in contact with the road at all times, but look at it. That's just technical brilliance. The control blade is a light and yet strong one-piece pressed steel component, allowing each wheel to react independently. It is basically a very, very thin version of a train arm, but a train arm. Now, if you look at the Rover 45 with its Honda rear suspension, the train arm is thick as anything. It's stiff. It's not meant to twist. Whereas this is like a thin piece of steel with the train arm bush at the end, and it is designed to bend. It's very clever, and a lot of research went into this. Total control, precise steering. With compact steering of less than 11 meters and just 2.9 turns long to lock, your Focus is much more easier to maneuver. With a variable rate hydraulic system, ensuring progressive steering and ensuring low speed parking effort. Although I will argue that the power steering in a Mark 1 is more heavy than a lot of cars, which is good because it still gives you that direct feel. My complaint in a lot of other cars is that the steering is too light and it takes away the feel, and that is exactly what Ford didn't want. We've got a lot of jargon busters over here, like ABS and anti-lock braking system. That's traction control. That's the traction control light, and that's the ABS light. Someone told me that that symbol actually looks like something else. I can't remember what it was now. It was quite funny. You've got a 4-channel anti-lock braking system. Earlier cars had a 3-channel. I know certain cars like the Ford Granada Mark III, which was basically the first car to have ABS as standard, that uses a 3-channel. So 1 for 1, basically 2 for the front wheels and 1 for the rear wheels only, because the computer was only capable of handling data from 3 channels. But it basically can apply and release the brakes up to 12 times per second. Interesting. The traction control offers a low-speed brake intervention coupled with a cut-in engine power. It prevents a wheel spin by automatically reducing torque on the wheel. It's not available on the diesels or 1.4. Yes. Now, the ESP works as an extension of both of these. Okay, it is activated without your intervention. It helps to restore stability, and if it senses the front and rear wheel are going to slide, it will cut in. Interesting. So there is a slight difference between the 3. Most cars have got this now as standard these days. And now we've just got low friction steering. It's just about basically reducing the steering inputs. Each turn of the steering wheel is translated into wheel movement without the dead feeling that can characterize power steering systems. That is important. What I've just said about the too light and dead feel. It's deliberate. Heavy steering on a Mark 1 is completely deliberate. God, this episode is going already. It's just huge, this thing. Huge. Designed in safety. That is your crumple cage. That is the show in all its glory, with its crumple zones at the front and back. Energy absorbing crumple zones, front and rear, help to minimize the impact of a collision. They can absorb a low speed crash energy up to 2.5 miles per hour without damage. That's quite interesting. Side pushers located between the outer door and the interior trim dissipate the crash energy over a wide area. Side impact beams help to reduce side intrusion. Yes, in the doors. The body shell is made by one of the most powerful computing systems in the industry. Safety engineers have designed an ultra-rigid safety cell surrounded by energy-absorbing crumple zones. Did you know it is the first Ford to have stiffness targets set for every point in the body shell? The body shell features variable thickness steel and laser welded blank technology, providing strength exactly where it's required and allowing for down gauging where it is not. So that is how they have basically skimped on certain parts of a Mark 1, where they've made the metal thinner, because they've realised you don't need panels that thick all around the car to give good protection. You just need the thick panels where they need to be to absorb the actual crash impact, and thin panels where it's just not needed, so saving weight. A lot of research. Reinforced seat backs and hinges. Unsecured luggage in the boot area is dangerous if you're involved in a collision. The Focus's reinforcement rear seat backs are more than twice as rigid as the class average. Hinges and latches are reinforced too. This forms a stronger barrier between the luggage and components to help prevent injury. Interesting again. Smart 1 power shot windows. Anyone who carries children in their car knows how inquisitive they can be. To prevent the little fingers getting trapped, the Ford Focus features 1 shot windows. If the system senses an obstruction during closing, it is designed to instantly reverse the motor and bounce back. How interesting. That's another good feature. 3-point seat belts on all seats, including the middle rear seat, which a lot of cars still have lap belts. Each seat has a 3-point belt. The front seats have pre-tensioners that remove the slat from the webbing. Load limiting front seat belt retractors then basically play out the seat progressively, limiting potential chest injuries. All the seats can be fitted with adjustable headrests, which feature an energy-absorbing foam. I've noticed that in the headrests, they are quite like a memory foam in the headrests. The maximum effectiveness, the front seat belt system is calibrated to ensure the passengers meet the airbag at the optimum time, just as it is beginning to vent. Interesting. By the way, about Focus Mark 1s and ISOFIX. Now, ISOFIX for children, it wasn't a thing or wasn't mandatory until 2012, I believe, or 2014. But it was a thing. It was invented in 1997. And believe it or not, Focus Mark 1s have ISOFIX points. Behind the rear seats, you will find some blanking grommets behind the seats. They are the ISOFIX points. Ford Focus Mark 1s, there is no generic ISOFIX bracket that you can fit. But the Mark 2s have a bracket that go exactly in a Mark 1. So if you've got children and you want ISOFIX, look up Focus Mark 2 ISOFIX bracket and it will fit into a Mark 1, no problems. But get a genuine one, don't get an aftermarket one. But just a little tip there. Fuel injection cutoff switch. In the event of an accident, the switch will cut off the fuel supply to the engine. It will be activated through sudden vibration. I mean, you've seen it. If you've seen my garage episode, I just had to shake mine and it just clicked off. It's a little ball bearing and it pushes the button up. It is located on the right by the right-hand door. The button will be raised when the system is activated. Do not reset the fuel pump shut-off switch if you see or smell fuel from the fuel system. Yep, definitely, guys. Airbags. Front airbags. Did you know that front side airbags are available? Oh yes. This is because Ford designed the all-round protection and what we call total car safety. This means that the driver and front passenger airbags act in harmony and with the body structure to provide maximum protection within 15 milliseconds of an impact. Head and chest airbags act as a barrier between the occupant and the side of the vehicle and to cushion side impact forces. We're testing all materials. Passengers, Focus Mark 1 passes Ford's own crash standards and all known legislation. For instance, the car's rigid barrier test was conducted at 35 miles an hour rather than the required 30 miles an hour, representing an increase of 30% in crash energy absorbed. It was awarded 4 stars for this Euro NCAP. I'm sorry if this is getting too long-winded, but seriously, responsibility and recognition for the environment. It passes all the ISOs 4001, etc. Reducing waste and recycling material and low emissions in 144 plants in 25 countries. Quite interesting, actually. Refrigerants in the air conditioner are free as CFCs. I believe every aircon gas since the 1990s has been free from that sort of stuff. With the invention of the 136, I believe. At least 85% recyclable. Ford Focus is 85% recyclable and designed for easy dismantling. In 30 minutes, 50% of the recyclable plastics can be disassembled. In design, it uses a variety of consumer goods. Plastic bottle caps, telephone housings, and even blue jeans have been used to manufacture Ford Focus components. Oh yeah, did they use the denim jeans to make the cloth seats, which I hate? Dreadful seats. I hate the cloth seats on a Mark 1. But they clearly are made of the same recycled material. But, you know, it's recycling. Did you know Henry Ford was one of the 20th century's environmental pioneers? His vision was to create technology that complemented and benefited both mankind and the natural world. Among Henry Ford's revolutionary ideas were the use of hydroelectric power to run many of his factories and his own home. Actually, I did hear of that actually once. Recycling wooden crates into running boards. Nope, not at all. Turning leftover scraps of wood into charcoal. Nope. Experimenting with soybeans as a renewable resource for making lightweight components. Absolutely crackers. I mean, these are some of the quotes that have been given. I mean, Top Car, finest driver in its class. Top Gear magazine, Auto car embraces comfort perfectly. What car? The best car here to drive. It won everything, didn't it? It just won absolutely everything. And this is it. 50 awards and counting. Ever since it was launched, the Focus has attracted praise from all the quarters. It has won over 50 global awards. Awards since the European Car of the Year, 99. The North American Car of the Year, 2000. The Golden Steering Wheel Award in Germany. The Millennium Product Designation from the British Design Council. That's hard to win as well. As well as winning awards, the Focus has won Why They Came Motor Impress. On the left are some of the quotes. And it's just not surprising. Living with a Focus, good grief. Well, there are a lot of details in this. Instrumentation, we've just, basically this section just goes over telling you exactly what these are. I mean, this is a lovely little switch, this is. I mean, as I say, it's just so easy to use. Instrument cluster dimming, not everybody has this. If you've got the LED cluster from 2003 onwards, you may not have this. Trip computer, very handy, not everybody got it. Outside temperature, average speed, instantaneous fuel consumption. Headlight leveling control, absolutely. Basically, you basically put it up according to vehicle load. So if you put things in the boot, higher the lights up a bit if you've got a heavy load. But we've got all these warning lights, and wow, yeah, that's a lot of lights, that is. This great. You've got things like frost warning. I ain't got such thing like that, but then I think it's on that. Low washer light indicates when the washer fluid level is low. Well, I don't have one of them. Well, what car was that fitted to? I've got an overdrive control light on the automatic gearbox. Cruise control, automatic speed control light, which is this green one. Interesting. Glow plug, ABS, braking system, and you've got many all these. Yeah. I've had a few of them. I've had a couple of them, and anything to do with the automatic gearbox, it will definitely throw one of these up. Warning. Oh, we've got the radios. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Ford is a major manufacturer of live car entertainment, and they've got lots of choices. You had a cassette player, the 4000 RDS, the 5000 radio cassette player. You have the 6000 CD Eon radio CD player, 6006 multi-change player. You got a lot of choices. I mean, I've got the 6000 with the CD. I mean, I can use CDs all the time, but if you've got a lower spec Focus, these are actually quite easy to get hold of. Transits have got a lot of these. So if you want originality and you're not sure which one it is, to be fair, it's either one on a Focus, base spec Focus, CL, whatever. But getting one with a cassette, wow, cracking. And yeah, we've got a lot of these automatic music search. Traffic information, which can come up. I mean, you just press TA, and sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, as I say, the problem is with these radios, they're going to be useless when the actual analog signals are switched off for DAB. They were meant to switch the signals off years ago, but DAB radio hasn't caught up with what they thought, but it will eventually, which is a shame. I hope there's going to be some converter. I mean, you can convert this to DAB with a DAB aerial, but I hope there's going to be something a bit more subtle to keep these radios working as a working item, because you know, FM, medium wave, long wave, it's the only thing I use mine for. Program type selector, so you can basically select, I think, yeah, PTY. It selects different programs like the news and weather, FM stations. It's interesting. That I'm not quite sure how that feature. I don't use that feature a lot, to be fair. One thing, you can get these replacement knobs easily if your knob's a bit warm. Yeah, can't have a worn knob, can we? And you will have one of these most likely, unless it's a CL. You will not have one of these, and I think it's quite clunky with the way you use your fingers on it, but it's okay. You got treble control, face, fade. Yeah. I usually use this button regularly. I don't use the CD player, but this bit is an anti-theft. To deter would-be thieves, the front bezel is detachable and designed to be slipped into your pocket, essentially a key code. Much better than the pull-out radios of the 90s, where you literally had to pull the radio out and put it in your bag. goodness me, how do people cope? Honestly, yeah, this is, let's say, recirculated air is a really nice function to eliminate unpleasant odours. I do press that button. Basically, there's a little solenoid that opens a flap to the outside of the car, and it just basically circulates it backwards and forwards around the heating system, the vent system. Heated rear screen and the standard front screen. Well, it was a optional extra, I'll put it that way, but it wasn't expensive, the heated front screen, and a lot of Focus Mark 1s have that feature. But yeah, we've got 2 vents that go up, loads that go down. We've got a couple of vents at your feet, and you've got the little vents that are around the back end of the center console that push this way. But air distribution, so simple, and the knobs are a little bit clunky, but they're much better than what you'd have got on an Escort. Absolutely. And obviously, hay fever sufferers, yeah, I know. The pollen filters are designed to last 20,000 miles. I doubt that. I've done less miles, and they go black really easy. It's just a faff to change them because of the pollen filter seal and the scuttle. Changing a pollen filter to Mark 1. Maximum comfort. Mark 1s were designed around maximum comfort for the driver and passengers. Yeah, they experimented a lot with the research. They identified, looked at smells, touches, and sounds are very important to the drivers. So we assembled a sensory panel to measure both scientifically and subjectively the odours generated by different components. Is this why Mark 1s all smell the same? No matter, honestly, unless you've had a smoker in the car, or something bad's happened in the car, like someone's, I don't know, a baby spilt some milk, and you can't get, milk in a car. But apart from that, apart from those couple of things, a Mark 1, they all smell the same. They did pay attention to a lot of this. Just goes to show the amount of detail and research they did into various components. It's just humongous. Car designers, they spend so much time, and engineers, they spend so much time on the little details. But basically, to ensure Focus maintains a pleasant smell in all conditions. Another team ensured all the switches operate with pleasing and reassuring touch. And a third team worked to fine-tune the sounds. They didn't get the indicator sounds right. I don't like the indicator sounds. Can we have an old-fashioned relay clip? Because that sounds much better than the electronic. Yeah, I don't like it. That is a complaint I have. More than 20 sounds ranging from the click of the central locking system to the ticking of the indicator were specifically tuned. Please, the fella who thought that was a good idea, can you give me his name? Jim. You might be watching this. Jim? Who's the guy who did this? Tapes of dozens of different indicator ticks were analysed by groups of 100 people. Data collected by the psychoacoustic test system helped the Focus team to create what was described as a reassuringly traditional but somehow futuristic tick. No, it's not traditional in any sense. It's just horrible. It hasn't dated well at all. Tuning the seating. To create the comfortable seating for the wide range of sizes, we carefully matched the seat cushions to best fit the human body. I do agree the seats are good. We developed a special foam and contoured the seat pan profile sufficiently for the hard for support, yet soft for comfort. So supportive but comfortable. That's a difficult combo to make. I argue that the seats are on a little bit uncomfortable side. Just a little bit too firm for me. We used pressure pads to study how people sit, resulting in a map of localized pressure points, ensuring a distribution of lumbar and back support. We then tuned the seat using polymer formulations to locate the occupant from vibration escaping from the suspension. Our final seat design exceeded our targets for minimizing vibration. That's interesting. Tailgate release. Yep, we definitely need one of them. Good feature. Commanding driving position. A high seating position gives Ford Focus drivers a commanding view of the road, plus ease of entry and exit for passengers. I definitely think Mark 1s were designed in a way that they were tapping into the MPV market. I really do. Something they've ditched on a lot of Mark 2s and 3s. Mark 2s have got a high driving position also, but Mark 3s, they went low, and Mark 4s even lower. Supportive sitting. For greater comfort, the driver's seat is fully adjustable, etc., etc. All seats have adjustable head restraints, and the ultimate seating comfort, heated front seats, can be specified as the optional Z-Tech or gear style impacts. Indeed. Rake and reach, yep. Forward, yep. Adjustable steering column, height adjustable front seat belts. Easy to get in and out. We've made the doors extra tall and wide and opening. Yep. The seating position is higher, which aids entry and exit for the less mobile. That's interesting. That's a good thing. With high opening tailgate and a low sill, small adults can reach inside. Tall adults do not bump their heads. Try and see. What's more, a convenient handle on the inside of the tailgate makes it easy to close it in a movement. I agree. The inside handle is handy, but very rarely do you use it. Simulation suit. How did our ergonomic engineers develop vehicles for less mobile customers? Answer: get them to wear the so-called third age suit. We developed this in conjunction with the University of Loughborough. The suit, I'm just going to zoom you in here, guys, because this is actually interesting. Oh, come on. My camera won't zoom in. The suit looks like a cross between a beekeeper protective gear and a spacesuit. It restricts agility by adding bulk and limiting movement to simulate the average capability of less mobile drivers. Gloves to reduce the sense of touch, and goggles to impair the vision. That is fascinating. That is utterly fascinating. Keep it locked. Radio frequency remote control. A remote control fob that operates within a 10-meter range. Ha! You're joking. It doesn't do that. The system is operational within 3 seconds after the ignition has been switched off. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, all about the locks and double locking, passive anti-theft, and a perimeter alarm. Most Mark 1s did not get the perimeter alarm unless it was a top model. The system acts as a brake-in via the doors, luggage and bonnet compartment. The alarm sounds for 30 seconds and the hazards flash for 5 minutes. An unauthorised attempt to start the engine or remove the radio will trigger the alarm. Oh, that's interesting. When the system includes interior sensors, any movement in the vehicle triggers both the sensor and alarm and the double locking system. Double locking doors, major obstacle. The 2-stage double locking system is enough to make the thieves think again. It is linked to the car's central locking and optional remote control facility. Once the double locks have been set, only the key or remote button can release the locks. It is a good feature. It is a good feature. Fuel filler cap lock. For added security, the filler flap is locked away upon closing. To unlock, turn the key, etc., etc. Bonnet release, the thing that most people don't like about Mark 1s. It's a nice feature when it works, and mine does work, touch wood. A key-operated bonnet release helps to undeter unauthorised entry to the engine compartment. Access to the engine or vehicle is only possible using the ignition key. The secure design also means you don't have to worry about searching for the interior release handle in an emergency. Absolutely, and we've got a picture of the circuit board inside the fob. We have PATS, Passive Anti-Theft System. It is Ford's acclaimed electronic system, a high-security immobiliser operated via a little miniature transponder within the fob. And this transmits a unique coded signal with 1 trillion possible codes to a transceiver located around the steering lock. That is the transducer. It basically sits around the ignition switch. Once the key is identified as correct, the engine is mobilised. Without it, the engine will not start and is effectively dead. The system is armed in 5 seconds after switching off the ignition. A control light will briefly flash, the little red light on the centre fascia, that to confirm that the correct key code is now recognised and the vehicle is now electronically protected. Why is PATS so secure? Well, the system itself arms itself, eliminating human error. The interception of the key code by a thief is extremely difficult because the transponder can only pass the code to the transceiver when it's within its electrical field. And as we've demonstrated on a previous video about keys, it has to be like that close away. That's the electrical field we're talking about. Really close, almost butted up to the ignition barrel. A special erasing procedure and smart learning mode is eliminated the need for a master key. Good. And I will be showing that in a future episode, because we are going to be programming a third key completely to my car. But it's only applicable if you've got 2 working keys. More details later. Central locking activated using the driver or front passenger's door. Indeed. Locking wheel nuts. Very handy. Ooh, the technical bit. Engine checks. They encourage you to check every little component. Like the diesel engine, you've got the oil cap, the oil dipstick. The VIN plate is at the front here. Very nice indeed. It says possible. In the first 100 miles, it's possible. Avoid use of the brakes for the first 100 miles in town and 1,000 miles on the motorway. Full use. So basically go gently on the brakes. Bend the brakes in. For the 1,000 miles onwards, you can increase the performance of your Focus to the maximum permitted speeds. Running in. Interesting. Avoid driving too briskly. Interesting. So running in was still a thing with these. Power steering, oil filler cap, that sort of thing. Yeah, brake fluid, central fuse box, air cleaner, screen wash, etc. Battery, VIN plate at the front. Yeah, everything you need to know. Oi. Economy. The new diesel. Now, this was promoted a lot in the brochures. And this is 2002, this brochure. I think it is. Yeah, May 2002. So, promotion of the TDCI, the Duratorque, a 1.8 direct injection turbo diesel engine developed for the Ford Focus. Specifically, this common rail engine has greatly enhanced levels of performance, driving quality and environment. It basically features a dual stage vane cell point that generates pressures of 1400 bar. That's huge. This means an ultra-fine spray of fuel can be injected incredibly accurately into the cylinders, up to 3,000 times per second. That's just mind-boggling, that is. You imagine 1 second. Ready, steady, go. 3,000 between those 2 clicks. Noise reduction technology uses a high precision injection, both in timing and in the volume of fuel injected. This could be as little as every 3 milliseconds or 1 cubic millimeter of fuel. The electrometer pilot control then listens to the combustion noise, the APC control, and makes fine adjustments to reduce the noise level, coupled with a dual mass flywheel. They can give trouble when they're older, but they're very good, which gives a smoother power take-up, resulting in incredibly refined drive. Yeah, anybody who's driven a TDDI with a solid flywheel, you'll know exactly the pain. Yeah, fuel consumption. To maintain good fuel consumption, make sure your Focus is serviced, tyres inflated. That's a big thing, guys. Make sure your tyres are inflated once a few weeks. Check your tyre pressures. And it leads to less risk of a blowout. Turn off your aircon when you don't need it. Although I would say make sure you use your aircon once a month for at least half an hour, because that's the main reason why aircons lose the gas. The seals go dry, so use your aircon even in the winter, just as at random. Accelerate smoothly, watch ahead and anticipate traffic movements. Remain in the highest gear as possible. Change to the next gear as possible. Don't carry unnecessary weight. That's it. Don't have any passengers in your car, guys. That's my top tip. No passengers. What is the benefit of high-end torque? It enhances the car's cruising ability, and engine economy, especially when driving long distances. The benefit of low-end torque. This determines gear changes. It increases the engine response. It boosts the car's acceleration power, helping you to safely overtake other vehicles. Torque sense. High levels of low-speed torque, even with torque delivered throughout the rev range, are both reasons for Ford's characteristic smooth power. Low-speed torque helps accelerate quickly away from the unexpected. 16-valve engines. All 4 16-valve engines feature advanced combustion and catalytic converter technology. Interesting, they promote the Sigma engine. The Zetec engines were not really promoted unless it was an early brochure. The Sigma virtually replaced the engine in most fashion. These are extremely lightweight, flat torque curves, engine management systems and gear calibration. Optimize engine response and economy. The torque roll axis mounting system helps reduce engine vibration. That's the rear torque mount at the back of the gearbox. The one goes at the back here for smooth and quiet ride. The 16-valve 1.6 Z-Tech engine exemplifies the inbuilt efficiency. Interesting. They're promoting the 1.6, the fine spot in the range, the most popular engine, but probably not. The 1.8 was probably the fine tooth of the fine precision engine of the range. Its valve clearances don't need adjustment for 100,000 miles. Its camshafts are driven by a long life nitrile rubber tooth belt. Oh yes. And as a result, this and other advancement technology, all petrol engines require scheduled servicing at 12,500 and diesels at 10,000 miles. That is pretty impressive for a car this age. It's just going on about different types of things. Oh, yes. Ownership of a Focus. What sort of customers can we have? This is really the boring sort of stuff. But what everything they support, care and maintenance, you know, your checkup list, check a top up your fluids, check your tyre pressures, check your brakes, check your warning lights. These are simple things, guys. Remember to switch off your ignition before working in the engine compartment. Yeah, that goes without saying. Cooling system, make sure that it is towards the maximum. Make sure your engine oil lies between the marks, etc, etc. Tyre information. Don't curb your tyre. It says here, don't curb your tyre. Yeah, pretty much that. That's interesting. Use only cold and lukewarm water to wash your Ford. Use a brushless washing if possible. Even back in 2002, brushless washing was not really a thing. But yeah, automatic car washes. Interesting. But yeah, paint, stone chipping. There is a paint warranty, they do say. Car care. You've got all these car care products. It's just car shampoo, wax. Just basic stuff. How interesting. And that is the end of that. That is utterly fascinating. This is one heck of a nice brochure. How insightful is that? I didn't expect the brochure to cover so much detailed information about what is a Ford Focus. I mean, the brochures go into some detail, but this goes into even more detail. As I said to you before, it's like Ford Focus Mark 1s for dummies. If you don't know anything about a Mark 1 Focus, read that brochure and you'll have a very good sense of what they're about. And this covers pretty much everything. So on eBay, if you want one of these, just type Ford Focus in view brochure. You may find one, you may not find one. It's one of those things really that you just when you come across them. But I'm going to leave this here, and I hope you enjoyed this really geeky episode. A bit long-winded, but there's so much information, and I've learnt a few things by reading this brochure. I'm sure you have too. And even diehard Mark 1 enthusiasts would have probably learned something from this little brochure episode. But anyway, you take care, guys. Have a lovely evening. I shall see you soon.